We are following developments out of Iowa, where the Des Moines Public Schools superintendent has been detained by federal immigration officials. CBS News' Lana Zak is tracking this story from Iowa City. She joins us now with more. Lana, great to see you. What all do we know about the superintendent? What are ICE officials saying about his arrest?
Meg, this is definitely a shock that Des Moines is still trying to come to terms with. And we saw the officials from Des Moines City Schools really invoke what they heard from Dr. Roberts' own teachings about empathy, about trying to withhold judgment. And they said that they still, while new information has come to light, that they're still reserving judgment until they are able to independently verify what we have heard from law enforcement officials. They say that they apprehended in a targeted action earlier today Dr. Ian Roberts, who has been the superintendent of Des Moines schools since 2003. And they tried to stop him in his school vehicle.
Actually, I did a little bit of research and they say that he's actually been a superintendent since 2023, not 2003. So I'm not sure if CBS got their information correct, but I'm going to use an alternative source to have this conversation after this. But let's continue.
He fled law enforcement at that point. They later found the abandoned vehicle, and they found inside that vehicle a handgun, which was loaded, they said, along with cash and some other items that they're looking at as part of their investigation. The reason why all of this is confounding people here is he was a beloved educator. He had become the superintendent of Des Moines schools back in 2003. He's from Guyana. He had come over here legally on a student visa back in 1999, but that visa he overstayed, so his status was no longer legal. And then that gun possession charge that he previously had, which law enforcement referred back to, that's because as somebody without legal status in the United States, it is illegal to possess a firearm of any sort. So that's why he was arrested. And
So wait a minute. You telling me that Iowa schools basically didn't even do a background check because he had a gun conviction, but yet he was able to ascend to superintendent of the largest district over in Iowa. And it took the federal government to be able to go and do this. Now, of course, there's going to be a bunch of people that say, "But he was beloved in the community." Listen, bro. We have to do things the right way and in order. Otherwise, this is the type of situation. And if he was so innocent and he didn't know that this was going on, then why is he running with cash with a gun in the car? Why is he running with cash and a gun in the car? Because two things could be true at the same time. You could be a good teacher or superintendent or supervisor or whatever it is that you got going on. And then at the same time, you could have done something illegally or you could have done something in their past. I remember, and follow me here. I'm gonna wrap this around. I remember I did a story on the Millionaire Morning Show of a guy that had created a completely different life. He was a family man. He was a working husband. He had multiple kids. And then it turned out that he had actually escaped from prison decades ago. And then something tipped off. He did something wrong and it tipped off, uh, fugitive hunters or whatever. And then they wound up arresting him and sending him back. Some of y'all that's been rocking with me for a long time, you remember this story, right? But the point is that he escaped from prison. So do we then consider the fact that he's been able to evade arrest for all of this time, created an alternative personality, and then went on to live a fruitful life? Or should he still be responsible for what it was that he was sentenced to? And because if that's the case, then you should basically let everybody out and let everybody do what they want to do. You can't then just do what you want to do. And this is one of the reasons why we got rules. It's one of the reasons why we have, requirements. And it also says a lot about Iowa school district that they were elevating a person with a background that A, he overstayed his visa, and B, he had a gun conviction. And how was he able to stay throughout the gun conviction? You know what I'm saying? And so I don't like to see this happen to anybody. But then at the same time, where do we draw the line when it comes to making sure that you follow the rules and do what you're supposed to do so that you can be here in the United States of America without any kind of problems. You know what I'm saying? It just speaks to a bigger cultural issue, in my opinion. Since CBS is getting some details wrong, but they just trying to report it, I also want to spin over to Fox News to get their perspective because I like to use competing organizations' news reports so that we can better understand exactly what's going on, and then we'll draw our own conclusion to wrap it up.
Well, on to this. This is hard to believe. Des Moines Schools superintendent arrested by ICE. ICE announcing Friday that Ian Andre Roberts is, quote, a criminal illegal alien from Ghana in possession of a loaded handgun, $3,000 in cash, and a fixed blade hunting knife. At the time,
And then he had another gun after he had previously had a gun conviction.
of his arrest, Roberts was working as the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools, despite being an illegal alien with a final order of removal and no work authorization. Roberts has existing weapons possession charges from February 5th, 2020, and was given a final order of removal by an immigration judge in May of 2024.
So he just been skirting the whole responsibility the whole time. He been over here doing what he want to do, and he ain't following no rules. And he just been making money and doing this thing, and that's why he was running because he knew that he wasn't supposed to be here. But instead, he decided to do what he wanted to do. This immigration judge issued a final order of removal while Biden was in office and letting a bunch of people over here inside of the United States of America.
Absolutely stunning. Former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf joins me now. You know, Chad, you and I worked together when I was in the White House. Yeah. It is shocking to me that someone in charge of our school district, the largest school district in Iowa, had a final removal order. How does that happen? I don't think it would have happened under your tenure.
Well, it's a great question. Obviously, the school district did not do their due diligence. He has a criminal record as well. So clearly they didn't do any type of background investigation. The amazing part here is he has no work authorization. So when they enter this individual's information into their system in order to get paid, to pay taxes and the like, all sorts of red flags should have been prompted there. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they say, to see how this individual, did he use an alias? How did this come about? And I think it begged the further question of the amount of illegal aliens that are here in the United States working in everyday jobs and the like. And some of them, like this individual who has a possession charge, has other criminal acts on their record, and to be so close to school children, right? To be part of the education system there in Des Moines is really troubling.
I mean, Chad, I look at these pictures and I see kids, and I think that could have been my kid. And this guy had a criminal charge. Do you think? And again, I know I'm asking you to speculate here. Did they just not input his name into the system? How often does this happen? I mean, there are measures in place. I mean, it seems like it'd have to take a whole lot of looking the other way to not find this.
I think so. Look, the school system there, just like any other employer around the country, has an obligation to make sure that everyone that they're hiring is here in the United States legally, has the ability to work legally. So if they're not a U.S. citizen, then they have some type of work authorization provided by the federal government. In this case, the Department of Homeland Security. He didn't have any of this. And so the question is, did he provide a fraudulent social security number and was operating as someone else? And if not, I think there's a lot of questions that school system has to answer. And the question is, are there others there as well?
Yeah, hair's gonna have to roll for that because you can't miss that, especially when it comes to kids and working in the school systems and being responsible. Because even though he may have seemed like a good person, I don't know him at all, so I can't speak to his character. The only part about his character that I can speak to is the fact that he decided that he wanted to overstay, he got a gun conviction, and so on and so forth. But you can't be out here in these streets and then not hold other people accountable who are your hiring manager and payroll and all of that. There's some major red flags and some problems that's in the system. But you also have to ask yourself how many people are doing the same thing and skirting the system. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. It's bad.